Hi there, my name is Salman, and in this video I will be designing a completely personal portfolio website using HTML5 and CSS3. So at the top we have a navigation, and then we have a hero section in which we have intro text and a title and call to action button. Okay, so when I scroll down you can see the animation. Okay, so in the border section you can see the animation. Okay, so in the border section we have an image and some text. Okay, so after that we have the services section, and as you can see these are the different services that is providing. Okay, so after that we have the portfolio section. So as you can see we have these different animations, animation effect. Okay, so after this portfolio section we have this experience section. So this person has worked with these different companies. Okay, and after that we have this review section. So as you can see we have a slider here in which we have an image on the left side and some information on the right side. Okay, so as you can see, and after the review section we have this contact us form. Okay, and after the contact us form we have a simple footer. Okay, so let's see the responsiveness of this website on different viewport width. So I'm going to display this on 1440, which is looking fine, and I'm going to display this on a tablet. So as you can see, when the screen size gets smaller from the desktop to tablet, as you can see the navigation menu. So you can click on this and the navigation bar will appear. Okay, so on this width this is looking fine, and I'm going to display this on mobile 320. So as you can see at this breakpoint this is also looking very cool. Okay guys, so without further any ado, let's get started and design this awesome personal portfolio website using only HTML5 and CSS3. So let's get into the video. Okay, so let's start. I have opened this folder inside the VS Code, and here I'm going to create a file, index.html file, and I'm going to create a folder inside this. I'm going to name this assets. Inside this assets folder I'm going to create a folder for the JavaScript and one for the CSS and one for the images. Okay, so I'm going to paste the images inside that folder which I have copied from the finished project. Okay, so I have pasted the images, and I'm going to click on this file, and I'm going to create HTML5 basic structure. Okay, and I'm going to create a file for style.css and one for JavaScript. So this will be app.js, it will be the main file. Okay, so here I'm gonna rename this title to Ethan Hunt, creative product designer. Okay, so after that I'm gonna link to the style.css file. Okay, and I'm gonna link to the script file, the file that we have created, which is inside the JS folder. Okay, here I'm going to create a navigation bar. Okay, I'm going to type nav, and I'm going to give a class navigation bar. Inside this navigation bar I'm going to create a container class, and here I'm going to create a anchor tag, and I'm going to give a class logo, and I'm going to type Ethan Hunt. Okay, and after the logo I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to give a class navbar nav, and here I'm going to create navbar nav items. Okay, I'm going to create an link, and I'm going to create an anchor tag here, and I'm going to give a text to this home, and I'm going to give a class to this nav item. Okay, and you can also give a class to this nav link. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this. So this will be about, and this will go to the home section, this will go to about us section. When a user click on this link, okay, this will go to services, I think. Okay, so this is the finished project. So let's see, the first one is home, about, services. Okay, the third one, the fourth one is projects. So I'm gonna type portfolio. This will go to the portfolio section, and we have this experience or resume. So I'm gonna give I'm not going to include this on the navigation, so I'm going to create a link for this one. So I'm going to type testimonials, and this will go to the testimonial section. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate this one more time. This will go to contact. Okay, contact us. Okay, so I'm gonna save this, and here I'm gonna create a div for the menu toggler. Okay, and I'm gonna put an icon. So I have used box icons icon pack, so I'm gonna search for box icons. Okay, and I'm gonna visit to this this website. So I have used icon from this website, so I'm gonna click on the usage, and I'm gonna copy this link. Okay, I'm gonna copy this link, and here I'm gonna paste the link right here. Okay, so here I'm gonna search for menu. Okay, so I'm going to copy this menu. I'm going to click on the font, and I'm going to click on this one. So I have copied, and here I'm going to paste the icon right here. Okay, so that's it for the navigation, and after the navigation I'm going to create a hero section, and here I'm going to create a section. Okay, I'm going to give ID hero or home. Okay, and inside this hero section I'm going to create a container, and I'm going to create another div. I'm going to give a class content, and here I'm going to put a paragraph text, and I'm going to type, hey, I am Ethan Hunt. Okay, and after this I'm going to type, so I'm going to copy the text. I'm going to put this inside h1. Okay, and after this I'm going to create a button. This will go to the portfolio section. I'm going to type my portfolio, or I'm going to type explore my work. Okay, so I'm going to open this file with live server. Okay, so let's design this navigation and hero section. So I'm gonna get the font from the Google Fonts. So I'm gonna search for Google Fonts, and I'm gonna search for the DM Sans. So I'm gonna click on this link, and I'm gonna search for DM Sans. Okay, so I'm gonna click on this link, and I'm gonna select 400, 5, 6 and 7. Okay, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then I'm gonna click on the import, and I'm gonna copy this link, and okay, here I'm gonna paste it right here. Okay, so I have now this font available, and after this I'm gonna create a variables. So I'm gonna type root. Okay, so the first color will be the brand color, so I'm gonna type color brand, and the value for this will be RGB 79113 and 224. Okay, so this is the brand color. So, and I'm going to create another color brand 90 or 80s. Okay, so I'm going to give an opacity to 0.8. Okay, so I'm gonna create another color for body. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this color, and I'm gonna paste it right here. So I'm gonna create a body color. So I'm gonna drag this body color like this. Okay, so this will be the body color, and I'm gonna create another color BG1, and I'm gonna paste this color once again, and I'm gonna drag this something like this, which is not going to be like completely dark, or which is going to be a little bit like this bluish color. So this will be the dark one color. Okay, and I'm gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna reduce, this will be the BG2 color. Okay, so BG2. Okay, so that's it for the colors, and I'm going to create another for the font base. So the font will be DM Sans. Okay, and I think that's it for these variables. Okay, so I'm gonna reset some of the default properties for this CSS. So I'm gonna select this universal selector. I'm gonna remove box sizing. This will be border box, and I'm gonna remove the margin and padding to 0. Okay, and then I'm going to select the HTML. So I want the scrolling to smooth. So as you can see in the finished project, so if I click on this, so as you can see the scrolling is smooth. So for that I'm going to select HTML, and I'm going to type scrolling behavior. This will be smooth, and here I'm going to type body. Oops, I'm going to type body, and I'm going to reset some of the properties. For example, I'm going to change the font family to font base. If this is not available, then font will be sans serif, and the color will be color body, and line height is going to be 1.7, and the background color will be variable color BG1. Okay, so let's see. Okay, awesome. I think that's it for the body. Okay, so then I'm going to select H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6. I'm going to give a font weight 700 and the color will be white. So this will be the white color, and also I'm going to give line height 1.2, and after this I'm going to target paragraph, and before resetting the paragraph properties, I'm going to give margin bottom to 10 pixel. Okay, and then I'm going to select the paragraph and I'm going to give a margin bottom 16 pixel. Okay, and then I'm going to select the image and I'm going to set the width to 100%. So I want the image to be responsive on this website, and after this I'm going to select section tag and I'm going to give padding top. So padding top is going to be 90 and 90 pixel, left and right is going to be 0. Okay, so after this I'm going to select anchor tag here. I'm going to remove the text decoration to none, and color will be the body color, and also I'm going to give a transition. Okay, and on hover I'm going to change the text, the anchor color will be brand color. Okay, so as you can see, looking great. So after this I'm going to design the hero section, the home section first. Here I'm going to type hero, or you can give a name home. Okay, so I'm going to select the home ID and I'm going to change the background color. Background, I'm going to put a linear gradient, and then I'm going to select the image. So image is inside this folder, so I'm going to select home. Okay, I'm going to put a dark color overlay for now, completely dark. Okay, so let's see, and I'm going to give a minimum height. I want this to be this section to cover 100 VH size. Okay, looking great. And I'm going to reduce the opacity for this, something like this, 0.3, and I'm going to reduce the opacity for this one, and I'm going to refresh the page now. So as you can see, we have this section, and background size should be cover and background position should be center. Okay, and I want the text to be in this center, so for that I'm gonna set the display property to flex align item center. Okay, so as you can see, this is now in this center, and so as you can see, the text is covering like it is touching the browser window. So I don't need this, so for that I have created a container class. Okay, so I'm gonna design the containers. So I'm gonna put a container here, and I'm gonna give a maximum width 1140 pixel. Okay, and I'm gonna give a margin to be from the top is going to be 0 and left and right is going to be auto. Okay, and I'm gonna give width 100%. Okay, looking great, and which is looking fine. And so if let me resize the window. So as you can see, it is still touching the browser edge. So for that I'm gonna give padding left 24 pixel and padding right 24 pixel as well. So as you can see, we have some space now, looking great. And so I'm gonna resize the font size, the heading font size. So I'm gonna select H1. I'm gonna give a font size 44 pixel. Okay, and H2 size should be font size 32 pixel, and H3 is going to be 24 pixel. Okay, that's it for now. So I'm going to design this section, and later I'm going to design this hero navigation section. So I don't want the text to be covering like the whole width. So I'm going to type home, and then I'm going to target the content class, okay, which is this one, and I'm going to give a maximum width to something like 600 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, it is not covering like the whole width, and the color should be white for the paragraph as well. So I'm going to target home paragraph, color will be white. Okay, and as you can see, we have this line before the paragraph, so I'm going to design that. So I'm going to select paragraph, and I'm going to type before pseudo element, and content is going to be nothing, empty, and I'm going to give a width like 20%. A height is going to be 2 pixel, and I'm going to give a background color to be the brand color, and I'm going to say display inline block. So as you can see, we have these lines. I'm going to reduce this to something like 10 or 16. Okay, and I'm going to give some space margin the right between the paragraph and this line to be 16 pixel, and I'm going to type vertical align middle. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to increase the text size for this to be I'm going to type home. I'm going to select the H1, increase the font size to something like 58 pixel. Okay, looking great. And I'm going to increase the opacity 0.4, or I'm going to leave that 4 and I'm going to increase this 0.6. Great. And then I'm going to design this button, and also I'm going to give us some space margin bottom 24 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, we have some space now, and I'm going to select the button class. Okay, so let's see, I'm going to give a class button. Okay, so I'm going to design the button. I'm going to give a padding 8 pixel top bottom and 24 pixel left and right. Border is going to be 1 pixel solid, and the color will be the brand color. Okay, and the font size, so I'm going to give a font size for the body as well. So font size is going to be 16 pixel. Awesome. And I'm going to give a background color as well. Background color is going to be the brand color, and I'm going to change the text color to white. Okay, so as you can see, and on hover, I'm going to change the background color to be the brand color 80. Okay, and the text color will be white as well on hover state. Okay, so as you can see, looking great. And I'm going to increase the padding to something like 10 pixel. Okay, 10 pixel is looking great. And also I'm going to increase the margin, so I'm going to type margin 28 pixel or 38 pixel. So as you can see, 38 pixel is looking good. Okay, so now I'm going to design the navigation section. So here I'm going to type navigation. So I'm going to select navbar, and I'm going to set the position to be fixed. Okay, and I'm going to give width 100%. Okay, and I'm going to give a background. I'm going to leave the background color for now. Okay, then I'm going to select the logo. I'm going to change the color to white, as you can see, and I'm going to increase the font size for the logo to be something like 28 pixel. So let me wrap this logo text inside h1 text, h2. Okay, looking great. And I'm gonna remove this. Okay, nice. And I want this to be horizontally, so for that I'm gonna select navigation bar, and then I'm gonna select the container. So as you can see, we have this navigation, and then we have this container in which we have this logo and these nav links. So I'm gonna set the display to flex. Okay, and align items center vertically. Okay, and space should be space between. Okay, so I'm going to design this hamburger menu. So I'm going to select this class, and I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to give a width 50 pixel, height 50 pixel. Okay, and I'm gonna give background color dark one. Okay, and I want the text to be in the center. I'm gonna give a color white, and I want the text to be in the center, and also I'm gonna increase the font size to 24 pixel. Okay, so for that I'm gonna set the display property to flex, align item center, and justify content center. So this will make the icon in the center. Okay, so also I'm going to give a transition. Okay, and at this breakpoint I'm going to hide this menu toggler. So before hiding this menu toggler on hover, I'm going to change the background color to be the brand color. So let's see. Okay, and also I'm gonna give cursor to pointer. So as you can see, we have this pointer now on hover, and now I'm gonna hide this menu toggler. So I'm gonna say display none. Okay, so now I'm gonna design the navigation links. Okay, so here I'm gonna type nav links. Okay, so I'm gonna select. So I have selected this. Okay, so I'm going to select nav items. Sorry, nav items or nav links. I think nav links make sense more. Okay, so I have done a mistake. This should be nav item, and this should be nav link. This should be nav link. Okay, So I'm gonna select the nav links and so I have selected this nav links class, and I'm gonna set the display to flex. Okay, and I don't need the list, the bullet points. So as you can see, we have these bullet points, so I'm gonna remove that list style to none. Okay, and I'm gonna give some space between these nav items. So I'm gonna select this class nav link. I'm gonna select nav links. Inside this we have a class nav link, and I'm gonna give padding left 24 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, we have some space now. Okay, home services, portfolio. So I have forget so I'm going to create another one for the services. This will be services and the text will be services. Okay, so we have this now, and I'm gonna give some padding to the navigation. So I'm gonna give padding top, let's say 10 pixel or 20 pixel, padding bottom 20 pixel. Okay, looking great. And let's see this on small screen sizes. So as you can see, so at tablet breakpoint, I'm gonna hide these nav links and I'm gonna show the menu toggler. So for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select media query, and when the screen size is equal to 762 pixel, okay, 768 pixel. Okay, so I'm going to change the navigation bar color. So let's see if this is working or not. Color red. Okay, so as you can see, so at this breakpoint, what I'm gonna do, okay, so as you can see, at this breakpoint, I'm gonna give a background color to the navigation bar. So I'm gonna give a background color. This will be BG2 color. Okay, and I'm gonna hide these nav links and I'm gonna show the menu toggler. So I'm gonna type menu toggler and I'm gonna set the display property to flex. Okay, so as you can see, we have this menu toggler, and I'm gonna hide these nav links. So I'm gonna type I'm gonna select the navigation navbar nav. Okay, then I'm gonna select navbar nav links, sorry, this one. Okay, I'm gonna set the position property to absolute. Okay, okay, position absolute from the top 100%. Okay, and I want these nav links to be vertically. Okay, position absolute, and I'm gonna give a width 100% as well, and I'm gonna give a background color BG1. Okay, and from the left side is going to be 0 for now, and from the top is going to be 100%. So this will be left, sorry, this will be left. Okay, so as you can see, and then I'm going to select bar lengths. I'm going to select new bar lengths, and I'm going to change the flex direction to column, rows. Nav lengths, this will be column. Okay, so as you can see, we have this nav lengths. So I'm going to give some padding to this bar nav. Padding top is going to be 24 pixel, and from the left and right is going to be 0. Okay, and I'm going to increase the spacing between these nav lengths. So I'm going to select nav lengths, and I'm going to select the nav length, and I'm going to give a margin top, let's say 10 pixel, and I'm going to set the display to block. Okay, looking great. And when I click on this nav length menu toggler, so this should be height, and if I again click on this, so this should be visible. So as you can see here, if I resize the window, okay, so here at this point I'm going to hide this this bar nav, and I'm going to give a transition as well. So I want the animation to be smooth. Okay, and I'm going to push this negative 100% from the left side. Okay, so as you can see, which is now hidden, and I'm going to create another class, navbar nav.active. When this class, when the navigation bar have a class active, so then I'm gonna say that from the left is going to be 0. Okay, so for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open this file, app.js file, and we need jQuery for this. So I'm gonna type jQuery cdn. I'm gonna click on this one, and then I'm gonna click on the minified, and I'm gonna copy this link, and here I'm gonna paste the link right here. Okay, so I have pasted the jQuery, and then I'm gonna say I'm gonna select the menu toggler class. When a user click on this menu toggler, so I'm going to create a function. Okay, so I'm going to say alert. So let's see if this is working or not. Okay, so I'm going to resize the window. So as you can see, this is working. Okay, so then I'm going to select this navbar nav. Okay, navbar nav dot toggle class. The class is going to be active. Okay, so this is not working. Okay, so let me see navbar nav class active. So okay, so as you can see, which is working. Okay, so as you can see, we have this menu. Okay, so that's it for the navigation and the hero section. So now I'm going to design this about us section. So for that, I'm going to collapse these, and here I'm going to create a section, about a section. So I'm going to create a section, and I'm going to give ID about. Here I'm going to create a container class. Inside this container, I'm going to create a two column grid. Okay, so the first column will be an image. Okay, the about image, and in the second column, and I'm going to put content. Okay, so I'm going to copy this text. I'm going to put this inside a paragraph, and I'm going to copy this heading text. I'm going to put this inside h1. Okay, and I'm going to copy this text as well. This will be paragraph text. Okay, and I'm going to create a button here. I'm going to give a class button, and the text will be hire me. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we have an image and some text. So I'm going to design this about a section. So I'm going to type about. I'm going to select two column grid class, and I'm going to set the display to grid, and I want to display two items, one on left and one on the right side. So I'm going to type grid template column, one fr and one fr. Let's see, this should be two column grid. Okay, so as you can see, we have this, and I want the text to be in the center vertically. So you can add a property align item center, and also I'm going to give a grid gap. I'm going to type gap. Gap is going to be 70 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, we have some space now, and I'm going to adjust the spacing in this section. So I'm going to type about. I'm going to select h1 and give margin top 24 pixel, also margin bottom 24 pixel, but the top should be 4 pixel. Okay, then I'm going to select about. I'm going to select the button, and I'm going to give a margin top 24 pixel as well, margin top. Okay, so this is not working. The reason is this should be display and line block. Okay, so we have some space now, and I'm going to change this text color. So I'm going to select about, and I'm going to give a class entropy. I'm going to change the color to be the brand color. Okay, and I'm going to give a font weight 700. Awesome. Okay, so let's see the responsiveness. Okay, it is looking great for now. Okay, at this breakpoint somewhere like this, so I'm going to type media, and I'm going to give maximum width when the screen size is equal to 768 pixel or less than, then I'm going to target two column grid, and I'm going to display only one column. at this breakpoint or below. So as you can see, looking great. And also I'm going to reduce the grid gap here. So I'm going to type gap 24 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, looking great. So that's it for the about us section. So we have one problem here. So as you can see, when I scroll down, the background color should be dark for this navigation. As you can see in the finished project, when I scroll down, the navigation bar changes. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to type navbar, and here I'm going to create another class, navbar dot scrolled, and give a background color, should be bg2. Okay, so I'm gonna add this scroll class to the navigation if this scroll top is greater than 0. So for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna type window dot scroll. I'm gonna create a function. Oops. Function. Okay, here then I'm gonna type if dollar scroll top if dollar scroll. Okay, so this should be if the scroll top is greater than, if this scroll top greater than 0, then I'm gonna select the navigation class, the navigation class, and then I'm gonna add class scrolled. Okay, else I'm gonna remove the scroll class. Okay, then I'm going to remove this scroll class. So it means if user scroll from the top and the scrolling position is greater than 0, then I'm going to add this scroll class which I have created here, and inside this class I have changed the background color. Okay, also, and if the scroll position is less than or equal to 0, then I'm going to remove this class. Okay, so let's see, it is not working. So as you can see, the background color for the navigation bar changes. Okay, so I want this effect to be smooth, so for that I'm gonna give a transition to the navigation, transition all 0.4 second ease. So as you can see, it is changing very smoothly, and at this I'm gonna change the padding top to something like padding top is going to be 10 pixel, padding bottom 10 pixel as well. So let's see, looking great, awesome. Okay, so that's it for the navigation and the about us section. So after the about us section, we have this services section. So for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create another section. So I'm gonna name this services. I'm going to create a section, and I'm going to give ID services. Okay, and here I'm going to create a container, and I'm going to create a intro class, and here I'm going to put paragraph, and the text will be services, and here I'm going to create h1, and the text for the h1 should be services that I provided. Services that I provide. Okay, and I'm going to copy the text. Okay, so I'm going to design the intro section here. So I want the text to be in the center of the screen, so I'm going to type intro and text align center, and I want this text to be covering like 600 pixel space, so I'm going to give a maximum width 600 pixel, and I want this to be in this center, so I'm going to give margin from the top is going to be 0, right auto, bottom is going to be 40 pixel, and left is going to be auto as well. Okay, then I'm going to select intro. I'm going to select this, give intro paragraph, intro. I'm going to change the color to be brand color. Okay, and I'm going to set the text transform to uppercase. I'm going to give a letter spacing 2 pixel. Okay, looking great. And that's it for this intro section, and yeah, that's it for the intro section. Here I'm gonna design the services, so I'm gonna type 3-column grid. Here I'm going to create a service. Okay, and here I'm going to create an icon. I'm going to give a class icon box, and I'm going to put the icon. So I'm going to visit to the box icon website, and I'm going to copy some of these icons. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this code icon I have copied, and here I'm going to paste it. Oops. I'm going to click on this font, and then I'm going to click on this. So I have copied, and I'm going to paste it right here. And I'm going to create another div. I'm going to put h3. So this will be the service title. So I'm going to say web design or web design, and I'm going to copy the text from the finished project. Okay, and we have so as you can see, we have another icon in the corner. So when I hover on the mouse on this, so as you can see, which appears. So for that, I'm gonna duplicate this icon, and I'm gonna rename this to icon huge. Okay, so I'm gonna design 3-column grid. So I want to display only 3 icons at this breakpoint. So I'm going to type display grid, and the gap should be 24 pixel. Okay, and I want to display only 3 items, so I'm going to type grid template. So 1FR. Okay, so there is a shorthand method, so you can type like get template column, repeat. I want to repeat 3 columns, and this will be 1fr. Okay, you can type like this. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we have this service section. So I'm going to design the service. So I'm going to type service. Okay, and I'm going to design the icon box for now. So I'm going to type icon box. I'm going to give a width and height 80 pixel, height 80 pixel, and I want this to be the icon to be in the center. So I'm going to say display flex, align item center, and justify content center, and I'm going to give a background color, brand color. Okay, I'm going to increase the icon size, font size to something like 44 pixel, and the color will be white. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to select the service section, and I'm going to set the position to relative, and I'm going to set the overflow to hidden, and I'm going to give a z index to 2. Okay, then I'm going to select icon huge. Okay, and I'm going to increase the font size to something like 100 pixel. Okay, and I'm going to set the position to absolute. Okay, and I'm going to reduce the opacity 0.05 or 0.1. Okay, and I'm going to increase the font size to 160, and I'm going to give a line height 1, and I'm going to push this to from the right side to 0, and from the bottom to 0. Okay, and then I'm going to select the service, okay, this class, and I'm going to set this to display flex. Okay, as you can see, the icon has no shrink, so for that I'm going to type flex to none. Okay, I'm going to give a margin right 16 pixel. Okay, looking great. I'm going to increase this text, so I'm going to copy this text. I'm going to paste the text right here. Okay, looking good. And yeah, so far so good. So then I'm going to select this service, then I'm going to select this before pseudo element, content is going to be nothing. So I want to achieve this kind of effect. So as you can see, the background color, which is not covering like the full width of the service icon box. So content is going to be nothing, width is going to be 90%, height is going to be 100%, and background color is going to be bg2, position is going to be absolute, from the top is going to be 0, and from the right is going to be 0. So as you can see, we have this effect, and z index is going to be -1. Okay, so as you can see, okay, so I'm going to give some padding to the service box. Okay, so this icon huge should be negative as well. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this G index to this before. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this. Okay, so I'm gonna give a padding to this service. So I'm gonna type padding. From the top and bottom is going to be 24 pixel. From the right is going to be 16 pixel. Okay, from the bottom is going to be 24 pixel, and from the left is going to be 0. Okay, so as you can see, and I'm going to reduce some of the text. Okay, looking great. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this now. So I'm going to duplicate this section. So as you can see, we have this service boxes, but here I want this huge icon to be at the bottom, so I'm gonna select that icon huge, line height. Okay, from the bottom is going to be okay, this should be line height. Why this line height is not working? Line okay, so now it is working, and I want to push from the right to negative like 30 pixel, and from the bottom negative 30 pixel as well. Okay, I'm going to reduce the opacity 0.06. Okay, and now I'm going to change the icon for the rest of the others boxes. So okay, so I have changed the icons. So on hover, I want to push this huge icon to the center. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a transition. Easy, I'm going to push this huge icon negative like 50 pixel. Okay, looking great, and I'm going to reduce the font size to 130. Yeah, 130 is looking great. And service on hover, and I'm going to select icon huge, and from the right side is going to be 0, so as you can see, and from the bottom is going to be 0 as well, so as you can see, looking great. So let's see the responsiveness for these service boxes. So as you can see at this breakpoint, which is not looking good. Okay, so I'm gonna select 3-column grid right here. Okay, then I'm gonna select media query, and if the screen size is equal to 992 pixel, sorry, maximum width, Okay, so when the screen size is equal to this and or less than, then I'm going to target 3 column grid, and I want to display 2 items. Display grid template column, 1 FR and 1 FR. So as you can see, we have now these 2 icons, 2 boxes. Okay, and when the screen size gets smaller, then I'm gonna target 600 pixel, and at this breakpoint I want to show only 1 item. So as you can see, okay, so we have a problem here. So as you can see, the navigation which is not looking, and the content is above the navigation. So I'm going to type navbar, and I'm going to give a z index something like 999. So as you can see, which is now at the top of the content, looking great. So after this we have the portfolio section. So I'm going to design the portfolio section. I'm going to copy this intro text from this section, and I'm going to create a comment. So this will be portfolio or resume. Okay, here I'm going to create a section. I'm going to give ID portfolio. I'm going to create a container. I'm going to paste the text right here, and I'm going to rename this to work. Okay, so we have this text. So I'm going to design this section. So I'm going to here I'm going to create a 3 column grid class that I have created here. So I'm going to type portfolio item. Okay, so I'm going to put an image here. I'm going to select work 1, and here I'm going to create an overlay. Overlay class. I'm going to put paragraph text, and here I'm going to put h3. Okay, then I'm going to type, this will be the tag for the kind of project, like web design project or UI design project. So I'm going to type web design. Okay, so this project is belong to the web designing category. So I'm going to type project title. Okay, so here is a portfolio item. So I'm going to design the portfolio item. So I'm going to type portfolio. I'm going to select the portfolio. Portfolio. I'm going to set the position to relative, and I'm going to set the overflow to hidden. I think I don't need the overflow. Okay, so then I'm going to select portfolio image. So after the image, then I'm going to type portfolio, select the overlay. Okay, so I'm going to give position to absolute. From the top is going to be 0, and from the left side is going to be 0. I'm going to give a background color variable gradient brand color 80. Okay, so this should be portfolio item. Okay, and I'm going to set the width and height 100%. Okay. And I want the text to be in the center, so I'm going to type this left flex align items center and justify content center. So as you can see, the text is now in the center, but I want the text to be vertically or on the top of each other, so I'm going to say flex direction to column. Okay, looking great. And I'm going to change I'm going to select portfolio overlay. I'm going to select the paragraph. I'm going to change the color to white, and I'm going to give a font weight 700, and I'm going to set the text transform uppercase and letter spacing 2 pixels. It's okay, looking great. And this should be H2. Okay, looking great. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide this overlay for now. So I'm going to type display, not display, I'm going to say the opacity to 0. Okay, and on hover I'm going to show the overlay, and also I'm going to give a transition to the image. So I want the zoom kind of effect, and I'm going to copy this transition. I'm going to paste it right here. Okay, so on hover I want to show the overlay, so I'm going to type portfolio item on hover, and then I'm going to select the overlay class, and I'm going to say opacity to 1. So as you can see, so the image is not covering like the whole height. So as you can see at the portfolio, we have some space left. So I'm going to select portfolio overlay. So I'm going to give I'm going to select the image. I'm going to type height 100%. So it will cover the available height, and then I'm going to type object fit to cover. Okay, looking great. So I'm going to give a zoom effect to the image on hover portfolio. I'm going to type image, transform scale 1.1. So I'm going to workflow to hidden. So as you can see, we have this effect, and we have some space between the title and paragraph, so I'm going to remove that. Margin bottom, I'm going to type 6 pixels. Yeah, 6 pixels is looking fine. So I'm going to duplicate this portfolio item. This should be 6. Three and 2. So I'm going to increase the scale to something like 1.5. Looking nice now. So let's see the responsiveness for this portfolio items. Okay, looking great. Nice. So after the portfolio, I'm going to design this experience section. So I'm going to copy this intro text, and I'm going to create another section. I'm going to type experience, create a section, and I'm going to give ID experience, and I'm going to create a container. Here I'm going to paste the text, so I'm going to type So I'm going to type my resume or work that I have done with. Okay, so here I'm going to create another grid, so I'm going to type experience grid. Okay, and I'm going to put a paragraph here, so this should be like the date from this to this date this person worked with this company. I'm going to create a div, and here I'm going to put h1. So he has worked with this company, and he was a UI designer at this company. So I'm going to type paragraph UI designer, and here I'm going to create a paragraph, and I'm going to copy the text, and this will be for the paragraph text, like the explanation. Okay, save it, and I'm going to design this section. So as you can see, we have this. So I'm going to type experience. Okay, so I'm going to select this experience grid. Okay, I'm going to set this to display grid. Okay, and here I'm going to type grid template column. So the first item will cover 1 FR, the second will cover 2 FR, and the third will cover 3 FR. Okay, so as you can see, this is covering 1 FR space, friction space, this is covering 2, and this last one is covering 3 column section, 3 column space. And also I'm gonna give gap, the gap between the item to be 24 pixel. Okay, and I'm gonna give a padding to something like 44 pixel. Okay, I'm gonna give a background color, see background color 2. Okay, so let's see the responsiveness for that experience grid. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so at this breakpoint I'm gonna type media. So I'm gonna type maximum width. When the screen size is equal to 600 pixel or 768 pixel, then I'm gonna select experience grid, and I'm gonna type grid template column 1 FR. So as you can see, so I want to display only one column, so like this, and I'm gonna decrease the gap between the item to something 16 pixel or 8 pixel. Okay, so 8 pixel is looking great, or 12 pixel. Okay, so I'm gonna design this section. Okay, so I'm going to change the background color for this paragraph. So I'm going to wrap this inside a div. Okay, so I'm going to give a class date. Okay, and I'm going to change the background color for this date. Experience grid, then I'm going to select the date class, and I'm going to change the background color to be the brand color. Okay, and I'm going to set this to display in line. Okay, I'm going to give a padding 6 pixel and 10 pixel. I'm gonna change the color to be white. Okay, looking good. And also I'm gonna give a margin bottom as well, margin bottom 24 pixel. Okay, so now I'm gonna duplicate this experience grid. Okay, so we have these 3 items, so I'm gonna change this to product designer, and you can change the date to something like 2018 to 22, and this will be so he was also UI designer, so he worked from 2029 to 2018. Okay, so that's it for the service for the experiences, and I'm going to create a review section. So I'm going to type reviews. I'm going to create a section, and I'm going to give ID reviews or testimonial. Testimonials. Here I'm going to create a container, and I'm going to copy the intro text. Okay, and I'm going to paste the intro text inside this container class. Okay, I'm going to rename this to reviews or testimonials, and I'm going to rename this to text to listen to my customers saying. Okay, thanks. Our client saying, I would simply type my clients saying. Okay, so I'm going to design this slider section. Okay, so for this I have used all carousel, so I'm going to search for all carousel CDN, and I'm going to click on this first link, and I'm going to copy this all carousel minified, so I'm going to click on that link, and here I'm going to paste the link right here, script source. Okay, so I have copied this for the JavaScript, and I need this one for the CSS, so I have copied. Here I'm going to paste this right here. Okay, and I'm going to create another one for this default.css. I'm going to paste it right here, and then I'm going to search for all carousel, and I'm going to click on this demos link, and I'm going to click on the basic, and I'm going to copy this markup, and here I'm going to paste it. Okay, so I'm going to remove some of these nav items, all carousel links, and I'm going to copy this one for the jQuery. Go to this, and I'm going to paste it right here. So I want to show only one item, so I'm going to type items 1. Okay, and I'm going to type the navigation to false. Okay, so as you can see, okay, so I'm gonna remove these and I'm gonna give a class. This should be, so I'm gonna give a class review grid. Okay, so on the first column will be an image. Okay, and on the second column will be content. Okay, so on the second column will be content. So I'm gonna search for star. I'm gonna click on this one, click on font, and I'm gonna copy this, and here I'm gonna create a div, and I'm gonna give a class stars. I'm gonna put this right here. Okay, so this will be for the stars, and I'm gonna copy this text from the finished project. Okay, copy, and I'm gonna paste it inside h1, inside this. So this should be inside this content. I'm gonna paste this inside h2, and I'm gonna create another div, and here I'm gonna type h3. Okay, I'm gonna type the name of the person. Here I'm going to create a paragraph, and this will be founder of Coding Boys. Okay, so let me design this section. So I'm gonna type reviews. So here I can use a 2-column grid class, but I'm not gonna use that. So I'm gonna select a review grid. Okay, review grid. I'm gonna set this to display grid. Okay, so the first column will cover one fractional space, and the second column will cover 1.5 fractional space. So just like this, and the gap is going to be 70 pixel, and the item should be in this center vertically. So I'm going to design this review grid. So I'm going to select stars. Color is going to be the brand color brand. Okay, and so I'm going to adjust the spacing between these items. So then I'm going to select review grid. I'm going to select h2. I'm going to give margin top 24 pixel, also margin bottom 24 pixel, and I'm going to increase the line height. Line height is going to be 1.2, 1.3, 4, or 1.8, 6, 1.4 will be okay. And I'm going to change the font weight to normal, which is 400. Okay, looking nice. It's okay, looking great. I'm going to change this color to be the brand color. I think it is looking okay. Okay, so that's it for the review section. So I'm gonna duplicate this review grid. this will be 2, this will be 3. Save it and refresh. So as you can see, we have this review section which is looking very nice. And let's see the responsiveness for this. Okay, somewhere at this breakpoint I want to show only 2 items, so I'm going to type at media when the screen size is equal to 768 pixel. Then I'm going to select review grid. I want to show only 1 item. Sorry, I'm going to type grid template 1fr. So you will see, okay, so as you can see we have only 1 item. And also I'm going to decrease the space, sorry, not padding, the gap is going to be 24 pixel. Okay, nice. Okay, so that's it for the reviews. And after the reviews we have the contact us section. Okay, so I'm going to copy the intro text to save some time, and here I'm going to create a section. This will be contact. I'm going to create a section and give ID contact, and I'm going to create a container. And I'm going to paste the text right here, so I'm going to type get in touch. I'm going to type contact, and this will be get in touch. Have a project, contact me. Okay, so as you can see we have this. So I'm going to create 2 column grid class that I have already created. Okay, so on the first column I want to show a map, and on the second column will be the form. So I'm going to search for Google Map. Okay, so let's say your place is somewhere here, then I'm going to click direction to here. Okay, then click on the share and embed, click on the copy HTML and copy this address right here. Okay, so I don't need this height and width for now. Okay, and I'm gonna give a ID map. Okay, so I'm gonna create another column. This will be form, and here I'm going to create form group class. Okay, so in this form group I'm going to create a label. This will be for name, and here I'm going to create an input field. I'm going to give a class form control, and the placeholder is going to be your name. So I'm going to type John Doe, and I'm going to duplicate this form group. So this will be for the email, at example.com, and this will be for the subject, and this will be subject, and I'm going to create another one for the text area. And I'm going to remove this ID and column classes, the ID and columns, and so I'm going to show only 4 rows. Okay, I'm going to give a class form control, and here I'm going to put a button. I'm going to give class a button, and the text will be send message. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to design this contactor section. Okay, so here I'm going to type contact. First I'm going to select the map, so I'm going to select map. I'm going to give height 100%. I'm going to give a minimum height should be 500 pixel, and I'm going to give a width as well 100%, so it will cover the available space. Okay, so that's it for the map. I'm going to design the form, so I'm going to select form group class, in which we have the label and input, and I'm going to give a margin bottom to 24 pixel. Okay, we have some space now, and I'm going to select form group, label, and form control class. I'm going to give a width 100%. Okay, and I'm going to set this to display block. Okay, nice. And then I'm going to select the label, so I'm going to type form label. I think the label is looking great, looking fine. You can redesign the label, so I think it is looking great. And I'm going to give a placeholder, should be message. Okay, so I'm going to select form control class, which is common for the input field and the text area. I'm going to give a border 1 pixel, solid, variable, so this will be variable color bg2. Okay, and I'm going to give a background color as well, background color variable background 2. Okay, and form control on focus, I'm going to change the color first to be white color. So when I type, as you can see, the color is white, and you can see the text, the placeholder text, which is the placeholder color. So I'm going to type form control placeholder. I'm going to give a color body color. Okay, and I'm going to give a border radius 0, and I don't need this outline on focus, so I'm going to say form control on focus. I don't need this outline to none, so as you can see we don't have that. And on focus I'm going to give a border color, the brand color is going to be the brand color. So as you can see, okay, so I'm going to select input if input have a class of form control, I'm gonna give a height 46 pixel. Okay, and I'm gonna give a padding to the form control classes as well, 16 pixel. And I'm gonna change the font family to the base font. Okay, I'm gonna increase the font size to 16 pixel. Okay, nice. Okay, looking great. So I think that's it for the contact us form. So as you can see, I need to change the font family for the button. Font family to be font base. Okay, increase the font size 16 pixel. Okay, and on hover, cursor is going to be the pointer, so like this. And I should also have given transition at the beginning. Okay, so we have some smooth effect now. So that's it for the contact us form. So let's see the responsiveness. Okay, looking great. And I'm going to design the footer section, which is going to be pretty simple. So I'm going to type footer. Okay, here I'm going to create a footer. Inside this footer, I'm going to create a container, and I'm going to put a paragraph. So I'm going to copy this text. Okay, and on the right side, I'm going to put some links. Social links. I'm going to put, this will go to Dribble, and I'm going to duplicate this link. Behance, GitHub. I think that's it. So I'm going to design this footer section. So I'm going to select footer, then I'm going to select the container, and I'm going to set this to display flex. Okay, and the item should be space between. Okay, and I'm going to select the footer. I'm going to give some padding. Padding from the top is going to be 60 pixel, left and right is going to be 0. Top, bottom. Okay, I'm going to give a background color, should be AG2 color. And the item should be in the center. Awesome. So let's see the responsive. Let's see for the footer. Okay, so I'm gonna set the flex wrap to wrap. Okay, so as you can see, when it hits right there, so it collapses like this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, portfolio testimonial, so some of the link is not working, like the first home one, so I'm gonna fix that to very quick. So this will go to the home, first one should go to the home. Okay, about, services, portfolio, testimonial is not working, so this should be testimonials. Oops, portfolio is not working, sorry, this should be this should be testimonials, services, portfolio. Testimonials, so I'm going to copy this ID, this should be testimonials, no, it should work, and finally contact us. So our design has now finished, so I'm gonna do the animation. So for that I'm gonna search for AOS, animate on scroll library. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll to the bottom, and I'm gonna copy this script tag, I'm gonna paste it right here. Okay, so this is for the JavaScript, and I'm going to copy this link. This will be for the CSS, so I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so now we have to initialize this. Okay, so I'm gonna visit to the GitHub page. Where is the GitHub? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down to here, so I'm gonna copy this AOS. So this is like the default setting. Okay, I'm gonna remove this global setting. I'm gonna leave this for now. Okay, so I'm gonna close this for now, and I'm gonna copy this fade up. So let's see if this is working or not. So I'm gonna put this right here, fade up. So as you can see, this is working. Awesome. This will be fade up, and I'm gonna apply this for the paragraph. Paragraph should comes from the left side or from fade down. This will come from fade right, and the button will come from fade up. So let's see. Nice. So as you can see, the animation is happening very quick, so you can reduce this animation. So you can play around with these options. So I'm gonna set the duration to something like 600. So as you can see, the animation is a little bit slow, and I think this is looking great. Okay, that's it for the hero, and I'm gonna do this for the about. Okay, so you can try these different animations. Okay, like for example, fade right down, or flip. So I'm going to do this for the image. So I'm going to copy, and in the about us section I'm going to paste it here. This will be flip. So as you can see, when I scroll down, you can see the image is flipping. You can do some crazy stuff with these animations. So for the content is going to be fed right. As you can see, so this should be fed. Okay, so I'm going to reduce and I'm going to increase the animation effect. Okay, so you can just copy the animation data OS, and you can apply this to an element or a tag or a whole section. So this will gonna work fine. So I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna do this for the services. So I'm gonna click and I'm gonna put it in. This will be fed up. So I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna do this for the services. So I'm gonna select this, hit Ctrl D, and I'm gonna paste it right here. So as you can see, great. And you can, I'm gonna do this for the portfolio. So I'm gonna paste it right here, portfolio item. I'm gonna paste it right here. I'm gonna do this for the experience as well. Okay, and for the testimonial as well. And for the contact us form as well. So for the intro, I'm gonna select the map and the form. Okay, so let's see. As you can see, when I scroll down, animation is happening. And you can also decrease the speed for this slider. So I'm gonna visit to the wall carousel. I'm gonna type smart speed. You can type the duration like 1000 millisecond. So as you can see, which is now a little bit smooth, and I think it is looking fine. Okay, so that's it for the animations, and let me see the responsiveness on different viewport width. So let me just see this responsiveness on different viewport width. So I'm going to display this on 1440, which is looking fine, as you can see. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this to on the tablet. So let's see. On the tablet, I think it is the font is looking fine. Okay, so let's see on the mobile. I think the font size is now a little bit, the heading font size is making a little bit problem. So I'm going to reduce the font to so I'm going to search for heading 1. So here I'm going to type media, Okay, so I'm gonna give a maximum width, let's say 500 pixel. Okay, tablet 4 to 5 pixel. I'm gonna target H1. Okay, I'm gonna decrease the font size to 36 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, the size has now decreased to 36 pixel, and here we can see this the text is very large for the hero section. So I'm gonna type home, and I'm gonna search H1, select H1, and I'm gonna reduce the font size to 44 pixel. Hero, I think type 34, home H1. So I'm gonna type important. So this should be below this hero, sorry, home. I'm gonna do this right here, so I don't need this important flag. Okay, so as you can see, it should be like 44 pixel heading one. So as you can see, okay, so everything I think it's looking fine. Okay, looking great. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, so make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any question, please feel free to ask in the comment section, and thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.